The Federal Reserve cuts rates. Stick with me. I'll explain how this affects your money. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, good to see you too. I know. Good. Hey, all right. Calm down now. Top story that just happened right before the old James Show started. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell came out. And no big surprise that he announced he's cutting rates here. But there's a couple of things he added to his little speech afterwards that is causing a little bit of market shakiness, should I say?
In support of our goals and in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a 0.25 percentage point. We also decided to conclude the reduction of our aggregate securities holdings as of December 1.
Aha, that's the big part right there. We're going to reduce our holdings. We're going to end the reduction of our holdings. So do you remember the term, if you go back a few years, quantitative easing? This was this term that they used as putting Christmas wrapping paper on the idea that they're going to print money and throw it into the economy. Well, let's be even more specific. They're going to print money and throw it into mortgage-backed securities is what they did. And so the ultimate backstop on all the big shortfalls that were happening with the credit default swaps, it ended up being paid for indirectly by you. They just printed money that inflated your currency, and they started throwing it at Wall Street, at their friends on Wall Street. They just printed billions and billions, trillions actually, of dollars, about $6 trillion total between the quantitative easing and all the extra COVID spending that had to happen, or they just printed money out of thin air. And so there's this big run-up of assets that they ended up owning. I mean, we kind of ended up owning it, but technically it's the Federal Reserve, and they're not really part of the government. They're an independent agency, air quotes. And so, as years go by, they're not going to hold these things to completion. They're not going to wait for 30-year mortgages to pay themselves off or be sold. So they've been trying to take them off of the balance sheet. But the problem is that has sort of a quantitative tightening effect, is the sort of the reverse of the quantitative easing. And they're going to stop that, which you're like, how does that affect me? Yeah, it really doesn't. It really affects the people on Wall Street more than anything. It does affect you in the fact that these people are monkeying around with the purchasing power of your dollar. And so if you don't understand how this affects you today, well, just rewind. 5 years ago, your dollar could buy 25% more than it buys now. That's a pretty big effect, right? And I'm not blaming this on Powell. Powell is the guy that's just got to come out and lie to your face about all these situations, because he's covering for the idea that we've created a system in which there is no ceiling on government spending. They can spend whatever they want. They'll tax as much as they can, but that's not going to stop them. They'll spend as much as they want. It's the Federal Reserve's job to print the rest of the money and then come up with the excuses on how this isn't just a big Ponzi scheme. But a couple more clips here that affect your money. I think the one that really is affecting the stock market more than anything is he said, listen, we have another meeting in December, and I know people are expecting another rate cut. Well, I know we've promised other rate cuts, but that's not necessarily going to happen.
In the committee's discussions at this meeting, there were strongly differing views about how to proceed in December. A further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it. Policy is not on a preset course. At today's meeting, the committee also decided to conclude the reduction of our aggregate securities holdings as of December 1.
Don't you hate the way that they just mangle the English language? Yeah, we've decided that it's no longer a foregone conclusion. The way you would talk to people on the street or people that were across the desk from you in a work situation, or someone who had just called you on the phone, is you would say, yeah, I know I told you that you can expect another rate cut by the end of the year, but that's not necessarily going to happen. We reserve the right to change our mind. What he really should be saying is, man, we have no idea what we're going to do. We say things all the time and they end up being wrong. And so we never come out and say, whoa, we were really wrong about that. Never once has the Federal Reserve had a press conference. They're like, whoa, we really boo-booed that one up. We really boogered up that rate change. And so we have a human endeavor that never admits when they were wrong. I mean, you have the coach for the Cowboys can't go to a press conference and always be right without being ridiculed. This guy is in charge of your money. And look, whenever someone talks this convoluted, you need to be suspicious too. But it's the end of this quantitative tightening that If you put it on a spreadsheet and ask how this affects you directly, not much. But it is a bad sign if things are going so good. Like when things were going bad, you were doing quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. The fact that they were able to sort of leak these off the balance sheet without causing any sort of convulsions was a sign that things are doing pretty good. Does this mean things aren't doing as good anymore?
Our long-stated plan has been to stop balance sheet runoff when reserves are somewhat above the level we judge consistent with ample reserve conditions.
Does that mean anything?
Signs have clearly emerged
on.
that we have reached that standard.
Like, I wish my 8th grade English teacher was in here. Like, Miss Cooper, what does that sentence even mean? Like, if I diagram that out, think of what he just said.
Our long-stated plan has been to stop balance sheet runoff when reserves are somewhat above the level we judge consistent with ample reserve conditions.
That doesn't even mean anything. It has been our it's been our position that we're going to stop balance sheet runoff, which is a weird code word for selling the assets that we bought on the taxpayers' behalf, selling the mortgage-backed securities at a time that we consider ample. So we're just going to do it whenever we feel like it. And that's been your long-standing position. You didn't even say anything. This doesn't even mean anything. It's almost like, I have a feeling that a whole big part of the college experience and the curriculum is to fill people who are just of average or maybe below average intelligence with a way of speaking that sounds intelligent to people who aren't. Right? Oh, well, he must be intelligent. He's using all kinds of big words and balance sheet runoff, and that's not how poor people talk. He didn't say anything smart there. He didn't say anything there.
Our long-stated plan has been to stop balance sheet runoff when reserves are somewhat above the level we judge consistent with ample reserve conditions. Signs have clearly emerged that we have reached that standard.
What's the
In money
standard?
markets, repo rates have moved up relative to our administered rates, and we have seen more notable pressures on selected dates, along with more use of our standing repo facility.
Yeah, none of this. It's been our long-standing plan to adjust rates whenever we feel like it, to adjust the balance sheet runoff whenever we. Well, that's not a long-standing plan. If it changes with the wind, you're contradicting. I hate this stuff. I really do. I really feel like this is one of the lowest forms of kabuki theater that we get from the political arena, and no one calls it out. You know, this is a very much emperor has no clothes. These people don't know what they're talking about. They get everything wrong. They're talking convoluted. They're contradicting themselves in consecutive sentences, and these are the people that are in control of your money supply. What you really want to know is, well, am I going to get a better rate on my mortgage? No. If you got a 6.5% mortgage, no, it's not going to go down to the low fives or high fours, and you're going to refi and be able to save a few $100 a month. That's what you really want to know. The answer is no. I can cut through all these lies and the 32-minute press conference that I had to listen to for a no. That's what it is. It's a no. With a little more depth in the analysis on this, I have a guy from the Heritage Foundation coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Will the Federal Reserve rate cuts affect you? Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And so that's our top story of the day because it happened right before the James Show
In
started.
support of our goals and in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a quarter percentage point.
All right. Now, my next guest, Richard Stern from Heritage Foundation, is going to explain how this affects you, if it'll affect you much at all. Welcome back to the show, Richard. What do you think? How the average person listening out there, how would you rate this? How much they would be affected by this? So you see, the stock market was tickling 48,000. The Dow was until a few minutes into his press conference. And my guess here is the markets didn't like what he was saying about the quantitative tightening, if the cool kids are still calling it that, and the idea that we may not get another rate cut in December that was previously expected. Right. Well, when you want to go forward and see how this is going to play out in December, and if we don't get another rate cut, is that a sign that the economy can't handle it? Is he trying to put out flares that there's an emergency? Well, we're talking with Richard Stern from the Heritage Foundation about Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve President, lowering the federal funds rate. And, the big question is, will this affect interest rates that we deal with? And you had mentioned mortgage and cars, but by how much? I mean, is this going to be noticeable? Is it going to be significant enough to change those markets? Well, if I want to be somewhat sympathetic toward Jerome Powell, and I tried this exercise and it's really hard to do, but I guess the angle I could take, Richard Stern, is that this guy's hands are really tied. If they're going to be running $1.7 trillion deficits and spending, there's only so much he can do to keep inflation down. So what about the interest rates on the other side? We talk about how this affects debtors. What about people who have savings? It's been kind of nice in your money market accounts to be able to get like a 3 or a 4% because for a decade it was dog water. Are we going to go back to terrible returns on things like that? You know, bonds and CDs and annuities and you know, savings accounts even. That's another one of those technical terms, dog water. All right. Nice. So, Richard Stern, the stock market drop actually seems to have found a little bit of bottom and maybe even recovered a little bit. I don't see that we're going to recognize any convulsions from this in 48 hours. All right. Well, Richard Stern, Heritage Foundation, thank you very much for an assist on this topic. I appreciate your help, sir. All right. Love us some Heritage Foundation. So, I hope that explains how this could affect you. I mean, it won't be much, but maybe there's some silver linings out there. Coming up next, the Mavericks are suing the Stars over the American Airlines Center deal. Who's right and who's wrong? It's like watching your mom and dad fight. We'll talk about it next with Donovan Lewis from The Ticket on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Why are the Mavericks and the Stars not getting along? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Here's a summary of what's going on between the two kids that are getting a divorce next door at the AAC.
Breakups are always messy.
Like breakups suck.
The Mavericks firing off a 253-page lawsuit against the Stars Tuesday. It's all about politics, the future, and a city say, and who gets to call the AAC home. I'll save you the read. Right now, a $300 million renovation to the AAC is in the air, and the city of Dallas is ready to chip in. The terms? The Stars stay until 2061, the Mavs can build a new home by 2031, and both teams enjoy the facelift in the meantime. Yet the Stars haven't really said "I do," and now the Mavericks are asking a judge to decide who keeps the house, filing a claim to buy out the Stars' share of the American Airlines Center. Mavs contest the Stars are supposed to keep operations in Dallas under a deal struck with the city in the late 90s. Their headquarters, however, are in Frisco.
Here's the interesting part about all of this. The Stars have had their HQ in Frisco since 2003, and no one's ever sued them about it until now.
That suggests leverage is being flexed now as both teams consider their futures, and the city holds the tiebreaker.
I think the Stars should just ghost the Mavs.
Fans at Tuesday night's Stars matchup weighed in.
Plano, I feel like, is what we've heard about. I'd be down to not drive to Dallas every game.
I don't want to go to Plano. I mean, look at the Cowboys. It's might as well be a day drive away, you know?
In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
All right, so that's the breakdown from WFAA, our news partner. Let's ask the guy from the world's most dangerous midday show on The Invasion on the ticket, Donovan Lewis, back on the James Show. Hey, Donovan. So I have a feeling in 5-6 years, we're not going to have either one, the Stars nor the Mavericks at the AAC. What do you think? So it sounds like the whatever happens, the Mavericks and Stars don't want to share a stadium going forward. Is that the sense you get? Well, it sounds like the Stars are flirting with moving out of Dallas. Is that true? And are the Mavericks flirting with moving out of Dallas? They do, yeah. They could just move our studios over there. All right, we're talking with Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on the ticket, the world's most dangerous midday show. So the Mavericks and the Stars, it sounds like they're already divorced. They're just having to live in the same house until we can figure out a new living arrangement. Have they had beef that I just didn't notice all this time, or I just assumed they've been getting along? What? Yeah, it could be on like CSI. We're gonna get to the bottom of this mystery. Yeah. All right. Why don't they just build it over there where we have the Globe Life Field and the Cowboy Stadium? That'll just be Sports Central. It's in the geographic center of the Metroplex. Let's just move all the sports teams and Six Flags and Wet and Wild. Just everything's going to be right there. Oh, I feel that. But, the Dallas Cowboys hadn't been in Dallas since the Cotton Bowl because, Texas Stadium was in Irving, now Arlington. So we don't even know what that's like. Yeah. I hear you. And it's kind of awkward watching your parents argue like this, because you like both of the franchises. You want them to stay, but whatever. All right. Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on the ticket. Thank you very much for clearing that up for us, sir. All right, coming up next on the James Show, we're going to talk about what you can do to get the food banks ready. They are bracing for impact starting this weekend. And some helpful tips on the way next on the James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners, if you are looking at your house and you're seeing the cracking, the flaking, the peeling of your paint, do not repaint your home. I'm going to save you from making a huge mistake here. James Parker for RhinoShieldDFW.com. We don't do that anymore. And friends don't let friends paint their house. It's a waste. Yeah, it may be cheaper in the short run, but when you have to come back in 10 years and repaint it again, and 10 years after that and repaint it again, and 10 years after that and repaint it again, when you could have just had done it once with Rhino Shield, and you have at least a 25-year guarantee. You know why it's 25 years? Because it's a new technology. It's only been around that long. That's as long as we can guarantee it'll last, because that's as long as the technology's been around. It's going to last longer. So go to RhinoShieldDFW.com, and when you go there, I'm not asking you to sign up and pay for Rhino Shield right off the bat. I'm asking you to have Gary come out there, look at your house, give you an estimate, and explain how the technology works. This doesn't cost you anything. And then once you're properly informed, you're probably going to go with my suggestion there and never paint your house again. You're going to coat your home with Rhino Shield. It breathes with your house. It won't crack, flake, peel. It helps insulate. It blocks UV rays. And, when we're coming up here in the wintertime, it'll keep your house just a little bit warmer than paint will. Why? Because it's 8 to 10 times thicker than paint. So go to RhinoShieldDFW.com. Don't paint your house. Coat your home. Go to RhinoShieldDFW.com. Are you ready for the great food stamp crash out of 2025? Well, we have tips for you on the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Look, aside from making fun of the people who are crashing out over the food stamps being cut off, aside from having the philosophical and really political discussion, let's focus here on our own backyard and our own community, because right now food pantries need your help.
Today marks day 28 of the federal government shutdown, and some critical programs are running out of money. Food pantries across North Texas say they're feeling the pressure and the frustration.
And they're not doing something is doing something to millions of Americans. This is where we stand. This is where we are today. Come back next week, it could be nothing on our shelves as well.
The U.S. Agriculture Department says those SNAP benefits will not go out on November 1st, and that impacts more than 3.5 million Texans. Here locally, closer to home, more than 600,000 people rely on SNAP to feed their families. The average Texas household gets $378 a month. And we know that food banks were already stretched thin before this shutdown, and many say they are now bracing for a big surge in need.
All right, WFAA, our news partner on that report. Food banks right now need your help. And if you're thinking, Parker, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to go get some food and drop it off. I don't have time to volunteer. Now, I'm not asking you to do that. How about $40? $40 to who? Figure it out. Ask your phone. Because, North Texas Food Bank is sort of the food bank jurisdiction I'm under here. Well, yesterday I had an email from someone who said, hey, I donated to my local food bank here in Clarksville. Do you know where Clarksville, Texas is? It's like 30 miles east of Paris. The real Paris, not the cheap copy they have in France, but Paris. And I was thinking, you know what? Everyone find out. If you don't already know what your local food bank is, the closest food bank, the one that serves your community, now's a good time to find out. I'm not going to go look it up for every municipality that is in the WBAP listening area. You need to find that if you don't already know. Out in Bug Tussle, we have the East Texas Food Bank. I remember when I lived in New Orleans, it was called Second Harvest. If you're living up in the North Dallas area, I talked to Cheryl from Minnie's Food Pantry yesterday. So find out. North Texas Food Bank was interviewed. Their CEO, Tricia Cunningham, talked to WFAA this morning.
If the SNAP program is not funded for November, as it is not planned to be, I've heard it will be the greatest example of mass hunger in the U.S. since the Great Depression. Do you think that's a fair description?
I do think it's a fair description because food banks cannot make up that gap. If you just look at the 12 counties that the North Texas Food Bank serves, it's about an $80 million per month in loss of benefits for those individuals while they will get them on the back end, we know in order to qualify for SNAP, you don't have a safety net. You don't have reserves to dip in. So you can't float the government in order to be able to get those payments later on. So they're going to be turning to food banks and food pantries. And we've already heard from our partner agencies that are out in the communities that they've already seen that.
Do you buy that, though? Because the two parts of that I find questionable. This will be the greatest example of mass hunger since the Great Depression. Stop it. That's ridiculous. Number two is the idea that, we just can't handle our poor people without the government being involved. Well, we did it for all of American history up until LBJ. And if we've forgotten how to do it, then we need to relearn how to do it. You're damn straight we can take care of poor people and hungry people without a government program. It would take all of us chipping in, or at least more of us chipping in than we do now. But the estimates on what that would cost are kind of iffy. Because if you look at, how much would it cost? How much are we paying per person for all of these means-tested programs? The number's bigger than you think. When you talk about what we shell out in means-tested benefit programs at the federal level, $1.1 trillion. So that's, welfare, like the cash benefit. That's SNAP, the food stamps. That counts for Medicaid. That counts for public housing. Over $1.1 trillion. We only have 155 million people filing an actual tax return. We have 155 million taxpayers. So that's $7,000 per taxpayer. You can also scrape a few of those out because about a third people don't actually pay into the tax system even when they file it. So we're getting into some pretty rough numbers here. If you count the other social programs, there's two of them that are even more expensive than combining all the means-tested benefit programs. You have Social Security, which paid out $1.5 trillion last year. That's 22% of the whole budget. Medicare is another $912 billion. And if you want to add in what the states pay on top of that, you can throw in almost $800 billion, another $750 billion. So we are throwing out over $3 trillion, about $4 trillion in social programs. Are you really getting the return for your money on that? Because I see people trying to use some weird math here. And if you just take just the SNAP benefits and you divide it by all the people in America and not just the taxpayers, you can come up with a pretty low number. Check this out.
Hey, so by the way, the average American in taxes pays $36 per year. Per year. In taxes towards SNAP benefits. So all of these people coming on the internet being like, it's not my job to pay for your kids and your housing and blah, blah. Shut the up. $36? That just tells me that you're a horrible person. I'm sorry. I'd give $100 a year. I'd give $200 a year if it meant getting people off the streets and fed. Yeah, you're just a horrible person.
Yeah, I'm just a horrible person. That's all it takes, $36 a year. If it really took that much, why wouldn't we just all donate $36 a year instead of spending $4 trillion in taxpayer money? Something's coming up short in your math, young lady. And if it was just $36, then why don't you just tell people to donate? We could afford to feed all the people. If it's just $36 per person per year, I doubt it's that low there. And if it was, wouldn't you just be telling people to donate? Hey, we could save all these lives. All you got to do is donate $36 each one of you per year. And you could save. You're not even saying that. You're saying turn on all these programs. None of it makes sense. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, will the food stamp crash out create lesbians? You'll hear the case next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Will the food stamp crash out? Create more lesbians. You think I'm playing? No, it's the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM. WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Just to prove that I'm not making it up, this is a theory that is being passed around by too many people. Here you go.
I'm wondering, do MAGA men think that because WIC and SNAP benefits are going away November 1st, that this is going to open up the pool of women that they can date? Because they're going to say, oh, single mom, she's already proven to be a breeder, and she's going to be broke and not able to feed her kids. What can I get away with? What can I do to her just so she can feed her kids? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They're going to be so disappointed. And because women have chosen the bear, and the next step in that is women choosing women, not in a gay way, but to live together and care for each other.
Yeah, I mean, maybe watch movies on the couch in your pajamas. As the movie wears on, you kind of cuddle a little bit, maybe smell her hair. Hang on a second. You got me distracted there. What was that again? If we miss some food stamps, women are going to turn to lesbianism. Single moms are going to turn... Did you even catch like the weird false premise she was building this goofy theory on? Like, MAGA men, do you really think that without food stamps you're going to be able to get single women? No, that's not what anybody's thinking. No guy out, well, I shouldn't say no. Few guys out there, especially MAGA guys out there, are like, boy, if I could only get some woman that's already tied down with some other man's kids, that's what I really, is there some way I can finagle my way into this scenario? Can I please just get someone's leftovers and raise someone else's children at my own expense? Oh my God, is there some way we can manipulate the government just like Hitler would do? What was that? What was even this weird fantasy that you have? Like, we're over here celebrating, oh, what can I do to single moms? Like we're the bad guy in a 80s cartoon. Listen to this. Just the beginning of the sound clip is hilarious.
I'm wondering, do MAGA men think that because WIC and SNAP benefits are going away November 1st, that this is going to open up the pool of women that they can date?
Listen to that. You have no idea what goes on in our heads, lady. You have no idea. Oh my gosh. They're cutting off food stamp benefits. They must want to sleep with us really bad. What fantasy are you living in, lady? Like, single moms, you've got it hard out there. I understand. But you're not like the ideal mate that most guys are looking for. Oh, is there just some way we can exploit single moms? What a terrible thing to think about, I don't know, half the country's men. You really think it's, oh, how can we exploit single moms? That's how evil we are. So silly. And your response is you're going to go lesbian on them? Great. That makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? The other one is the food stamp crash out going to create a whole new class of prostitutes? Working women. Well, they have no other way to feed themselves. I guess they're going to have to sell their body for food. They could get a job. They could get a non-carnal related job. Is that the right word? That's probably not the right word. I don't want to use the right word.
All right, ladies. Now, food stamps getting ready to get cut off, and I hate to be the one to tell you this. I hate to be the burial of bad news, but I'm going to need y'all to get out here and start selling that cat again, okay? Because back in the day, our grandparents was not worried about how they was going to feed these kids because they wouldn't mind going out here and getting on these blocks. Hell, y'all going to have to go ahead and start selling some cat. Okay? I don't want to hear nobody online complaining about, oh, food stamps. There's a bunch of dumbass out here in these streets running around ready to pay $20, $30 for a piece of because them ain't. Let's go ahead and use up these men that's already washed up. All right, do what you got to do. Just wear some protection. That's all I got to say. I'm just saying.
All right. Is that on the same planet as you? Yeah, I guess we're going to have to. And she was calling it cat. I don't think she was talking about a tabby Calico Nora Persian. I think she was talking about. All right, we're all on the same page. Okay. You know, that's what we got to do. That's what our grandparents did. That's your grandma did that. My grandma didn't do that. I don't think either one of my grandmothers even thought about that. That was one of the options. I guess you're kind of telling on yourself. Your grandmother's a hooker. And so, hey, you know, food stamps run out. Don't go get a job. Don't get a husband. No. Be a hooker. This is the next step. This is the next in your algorithm and your logical flow chart. Hooker is next. Hang on.
All right, ladies. Now, food stamps getting ready to get cut off, and I hate to be the one to tell you this. I hate to be the burial of bad news, but I'm gonna need y'all to get out.
Did she say burial of bad news? I hate to be the burial of bad news.
I hate to be the one to tell you this. I hate to be the burial of bad news, but I'm gonna need y'all to get out here and start selling that cat again, okay? Because back in the day, our grandparents was not worried about how they was gonna feed these kids because they wouldn't mind going out here and getting on these blocks. Hell,
your grandmother didn't mind getting out there on them blocks. That's interesting. All right, so far we have, with the food stamp crash out, we're going to create a whole new class of thieves. I've played a bunch of the stealing crash outs, though.
This is going to be a thing. People are going to start, instead of stealing groceries from the stores, they're going to start watching people go to their cars. And they're going to take all of their groceries.
So we're going to steal from the stores. We're going to steal from people in the parking lots. Some other people are going to come to your house.
And with food stamps getting cut off next month, like, I don't have a kid that eats like a grown man. I eat like a grown man. We like steak and lobster.
Yeah, you like food.
Yeah, we like food. We like steak and lobster. So I want everybody to be prepared for me and my kid to be at their house for Thanksgiving. Yup, we're straight. Yup, and we're gonna eat your food.
No, you're not.
Period. We're coming to your house and we're gonna eat all your food. Because what? Cutting the snaps off for November? Like, the 3-year-old don't eat like a grown man. So yeah, I just want everybody to be prepared for me and my penguin to.
Nope. So we're going to come to your house. We're going to burgle your house. We're going to create thieves and burglars and lesbians and prostitutes if we go 1 month without food stamps. I think that sounds silly. You know what I think? I think you're all adults that are capable of getting a job and feeding yourself and maybe even feeding your kids too. And if you can't, then you're going to have to rely on private voluntary donations, or this is all going to get real ugly real quick. And it's not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. Coming up next on The James Show, the Ozempic shots have become so popular, so widespread, that the obesity rate in America is actually falling. We'll talk about it with Dr. Brian Ardis, who says this maybe isn't the best thing for health in America. That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What's up, Texas sports fans? James Parker here for the Prize Picks app, and whatever sports you're enjoying right now, you can add a little bit of fun to it with the Prize Picks app, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And I don't care which team is your favorite. Cooper Flagg is on the app. Kyrie Irving's on the app. Mikko Rantanen is on the app. Ottinger is on the app. There's some Cowboys on the app too, but you can also take advantage of the Cowboys having absolute hot garbage for defense and just say whoever the running back is on the other team, more, whatever the stat is, just keep picking more on running backs for the other team. And that's the beauty of Prize Picks. You have inside knowledge that you can turn into real money. You know who's playing injured. You know who's got an advantage. You know who's up and coming. You know who's on the way out. Take that knowledge, that inside knowledge that you have from just naturally being a good sports fan, use and get some money out of it. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP. You get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. What's a lineup? 2 to 6 players. You pick more or less on a stat. That's it. So download Prize Picks. Use promo code WBAP. Get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Is Ozempic making us healthier or not? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and count me down as skeptical. I see all these people on Ozempic, and yeah, you're skinnier, but look at your face, look at your body, look how droopy you look. You know, I'm glad you've lost 70 pounds, but it's not because you're healthier, it's because you're dying, is what it looks like to me. Dr. Brian Ardis is coming back on the James Show. You can find his show, the Dr. Ardis Show, online. Good stuff. And I know that you're also Ozempic skeptic, so I wanted to bring you on. I thought of you when I saw the new report that the obesity rate in the United States has fallen, and Ozempic's getting a bunch of credit for that. But the question I want to ask you, is it really making us healthier? country of Europe. Yeah, the continent of Europe. Oh, right. But Dr. Artis, you're blind, but are you fat? Ew. Ew. Yes, sir. Oh my God, no. And Dr. Artis, this has been one of the most frustrating parts about being a person with a public platform that has to talk about this stuff. I have just marveled at how much the human being, the human experience, hates diet and exercise, really hates exercise, because I see people doing all kinds of wild diets. And like when the great example was the what was it, the Atkins diet, where you could wake up and you could eat bacon and you could drink the grease and then you could have like eggs, but you couldn't have any bread, but you couldn't have anything that had sugar in it. And I just thought, well, if you're cutting out like a whole leg of your nutritional stool, you're not losing weight because you're getting healthier. You're dying. You have a nutritional hole and your body's collapsing on itself. So I just noticed people will do just horrible things to themselves, anything other than exercise. And so now we're down to what? What is this, lizard poison? Gross. All right, that's a wow moment. But let me hit pause on Dr. Brian Artis. I have my doctor remote right here. You can find more of his work at the drartisshow.com. He's got a bunch of great videos on YouTube. But I'm going to continue asking him in the next segment, if you have already taken some of these drugs, what does he recommend you do? Is there a detox platform? Find out next on The James Show. If you have any questions for Dr. Artis, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, it's your chance at $5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text credit to 95819. That's credit to 95819. You could score $1,000. Sponsored locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. Is Ozempic killing us? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker, continuing with Dr. Bryan Ardis from the Dr. Ardis Show. And you spelled out some pretty scary backup information on Ozempic. It's not a GLP-1. It comes from the venom of some weird lizard in a desert. It will make you lose your eyesight, get thyroid cancer, all kinds of other secondary problems, puking uncontrollably for years. So now you've properly scared people off, rightfully so. What do you recommend people do if they're on Ozempic? Do you recommend stop it right now? Don't take another shot? Is there a detox process you recommend? What do you do post Ozempic? Artist not here? Dr. Ardis, you there? Garrett, what happened? Did he hit mute? Okay. Dr. Ardis, unmute yourself, maybe. All right. Well, it shows he's there. Maybe we'll get him back on the phone. This is going to be a hot topic, though, because, look, you know people on it. I know people on it. Are you even on it? Yeah, exactly. What do all these people do? That's what I was going to try and find out next. We'll get him back on, and we'll ask him. Let's go to the phones then. David Bedford, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yes, sir. Hey, I just wanted to say that to people that are listening, I didn't do Ozempic. I had readings. I'm nearly 70 years old. I coach all the time. I eat late. I eat terrible. My numbers came back at 7.9 recently, and on A1C numbers, and I'm about weigh 264. Desired weight 220. Here's the deal. Told the doctor I'm not doing metformin. I'm going to do it natural, which I did. 4.5, almost 5 months later, I've lost 45 pounds. My A1C number is down to 5.6, and I did it all natural, my man. I'm talking about eating natural foods, eating a better breakfast. Don't eat Sonic at midnight and mess like that. Just eat natural foods. You can have some of that stuff, but I cut it back to most.
Did you
natural.
Exercise?
Very moderately.
Okay.
I say busy enough. And I'm down. I can't even wear my size 38 jeans anymore. I'm having to snuggle them in. And like I said, I'm 6 foot and weigh 220 pounds.
All right.
I was weighing 265, and I did it all eating natural food, buddy.
Well, I appreciate the inspiration. That seems like a much better pathway to take than lizard venom. Dr. Ardis is back with us. Oh, okay. So if someone is on Ozempic or if they've done Ozempic before, what do you recommend they do? I mean, I imagine get off it immediately, but is there a detox process you recommend? Gross. Roundup. Oh, man, I eat all kinds of processed foods. And I almost wanted to push back against David from Bedford. You can eat Sonic in the middle of the night every once in a while and be fine. And that's one of the reasons why I do exercise and I do lift weights and I do cardio so I can eat like trash. All right, Dr. Artis, we've only got 2 minutes left in this segment, and I'm dying to hear this info. So go, but go fast. Shut up. How does that work? How does red light do anything? See, you'll be happy to know Miss Parker actually does the red light sauna thing.
Miss Parker.
Didn't we have the glutathione come up in the Tylenol discussion? All right. Dr. Brian Artis, great info. I appreciate both segments on the James Show. You want to find more of him, look at the drartisshow.com. He has a lot of great videos on YouTube and whatnot. Thank you again, Dr. Brian. All right. So some of you are on snake venom right now. I imagine of the tens of thousands of people that are listening right now, someone just got their Ozempic shot and like they're at a red light and they're just kind of looking at their arm like, what did I just do? Rick and McKinney, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yeah, I've been on Ozempic in the past, but I'm currently on Mounjaro, so I was going to ask the doc if Mounjaro does the exact same thing.
He said yeah at the beginning of the previous segment. So good luck with the turbo cancer and the blindness, Rick.
You know, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Another quick one. Jackie in Frisco, you got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah, I have type 2 diabetes, and my doctor put me on Ozempic back in February. Since then, I have lost 20 pounds. I really only had 20 pounds to lose. I wasn't like morbidly obese or anything, but I almost immediately started experiencing the vomiting, the nausea. No matter the most bland food that I would eat, the smallest portions that I would eat, everything was horrible. Even now to this day, I weaned myself off of Ozempic. I'm not taking it as of about a month and a half ago, and I still can't tolerate anything with any spice at all. I mean, it
wow.
has totally changed everything.
You heard Dr. Artis at the very end of that. Red light therapy, high doses of vitamin C, get some glutathione in there, and I'll put up this podcast so you can go back and revisit this info later. Not just you, Jackie and Frisco, everybody listening. Good excuse to come back and check out the James Show podcast later because you can show your Ozempic friend or your Ozempian spouse or your Ozempian kids even. This is not good, and here's what you do about it. Coming up next on the James Show, Hamas may have broken the ceasefire. Is there going to be peace in Israel still? Find out next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Is the Middle East peace deal going to hold? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, and WBAP. Let's ask my next guest, Darren Gobb, back on the James Show. Darren, you're a U.S. Army veteran. You've seen attacks. Is this the level of attacks this week that would break a ceasefire? Well, I got to admit, I'm only optimistic in the fact that I was so pessimistic to begin with. I was really surprised that they handed over all the hostages, all the alive hostages, ahead of the deadline. They didn't try and get some more concessions out of you at the last second or change their mind or invent some sort of delay. So really, I was kind of surprised that they fulfilled the ceasefire to this extent. All right, we're talking with retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb from the U.S. Army, who now has written a book on the topic of a soldier's perspective on truth, faith, family, and freedom called Veritas Vincent. And I don't see how we ever get peace out of Gaza with anyone Palestinian in charge of Gaza. And it's not that I'm anti-Palestinian, it's that you can tear down Hamas and get rid of it. But if you leave the same people there and they reconstitute the same government, that's the pattern we've noticed our entire lives. Like you mentioned the PLO, there's been the PLO, there's been Fatah, there's been Yasser Arafat. Whoever's in charge there, they're not very friendly to Jews. And I don't want to keep repeating that pattern. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But the Israeli government won't say it. Our government won't say it. But I think they kind of want it. They just don't want to say something that's politically unpopular on the world stage. So I'll keep an eye on this, and we'll have to have you back on the show. You can find him at Darren Gaub, DARINGAUB.com. Thank you very much, Darren. Coming up next on the James Show, what the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? You'll hear her response to Trump challenging her to a cognitive test coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And in today's edition of What the Heck Did Jasmine Crockett Say This Time, this is going to be in response to something I played for you earlier in the week.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Governor Hot Wheels. And he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tears.
All right, so a couple days ago, Donald Trump is on the Air Force One being asked questions by reporters. And it's real noisy. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get the audio for you because there's all kinds of background hums on it. But Jasmine Crockett's name comes up. He talked about a cognitive test he did, and then Jasmine should take this test. And he kind of issued a challenge.
Am I not ruling it out? You'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't. They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass like the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those are very hard, they're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way, but they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think Jasmine, the first couple of questions are easy, a tiger, an elephant, a giraffe, you know. When you get up to about 5 or 6, and then when you get up to 10 and 20 and 25, they couldn't come close to answering any of those questions.
All right, so last night on CNN, Caitlin Collins asked Jasmine Crockett about it. Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman representing the district I'm sitting in right now. Somehow this became racial, but listen to the rest of the answer, too.
Listen, I'm waiting on a reporter, and maybe it'll be you, Caitlin, that finally ask him what is his IQ, because he is constantly talking about, he doesn't even know what a low IQ is. He don't even know which scores are low. And I can guarantee you that whatever score, if he's taken one anytime recently, I'm sure that his qualifies as low. Listen, he's never been known to be an Einstein. This is not a guy who got in on merit when it came to going to college. This is someone who, but for him being born with a silver spoon, probably wouldn't have got into anybody's institution, unlike me. So, I am not worried about that. And I wish people would look at the fact that you have a president of the United States who consistently is obsessing over 2 women of color that are members of the House. You are the president. You have a lot more power than we do, but obviously you consistently feel threatened. And that is why we have seen, the attacks on black women in general from this administration. I don't know what black woman hurt him in his past, honey, but it is really taking him through it. But I really wish, for the sake of this country and honestly for the sake of the world, that he would focus on his real job and stop worrying about me. My constituents would worry about whether or not I have an adequate IQ, even though that's not the test that he's taking. And it's up to them to decide. It's not him. He can't hire me or fire me, unfortunately for him. And as it relates to a third term, people need to listen to what he's saying. They need to listen to that, because that is a very scary thing. It is unconstitutional. I do think he's being serious.
All right, so let's break all of that down. I wish we could just stop with the whole everyone's stupid kind of thing, because this is one of the irritating points about being someone who's in the public debate on a regular basis, is the ad hominem attacks. Sometimes they're warranted. Most of the time they're not. But it's really just some sort of intellectual shortcut so you can avoid the debate that you were otherwise having just by calling the other person stupid or the person making the argument stupid or whatnot. And it gets thrown out way too much. It's ridiculous. Remember when they were calling Elon Musk stupid? Now, how dumb is that? Oh, the guy that made the only profitable electric car company in the history of mankind. The guy that sent the first private space flight, the guy that's building rockets, literal rocket scientist. Literal rocket scientist. He's stupid. Sure, it's not believable. But to be fair, I don't think Jasmine Crockett's stupid. I think Trump's silly when he says her and AOC are low IQ people. They may not be smart as Elon Musk. They may not even be that much above average, but they're not dumb. I mean, you and I know dumb people. You and I mean, we don't hang out with them a whole lot, but like when next time you're in the DMV and you have to pick a number and wait in line and there's like a baker's dozen people in front of you, look at those people. That's what I'm talking about. Remember, half of the country, half, is going to be below average. That's just what math says. But can we stop with the Jasmine Crockett's dumb, AOC's dumb, Trump's dumb, Trump voters are dumb? Stop. Not everyone's dumb. And it sounds really silly because every once in a while it does fit. Every once in a while you do need to say, holy crap, this person really is dumb. I'll give you an example. As long as Hank Johnson is in Congress, the representative from the Atlanta area, this is the boy wonder that 14 years ago thought Guam might capsize. The island floating in the Pacific, he thought it was literally floating in the Pacific like an igloo cooler or something. Remember, he said this in Congress.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
That, my friends, that is dumb. That, you can call that dumb. That is a low IQ person. It never dawned on him that every island, that every scrap of land on planet Earth is an underwater mountain that comes above sea level. He didn't know that until he was in his 60s or maybe 50s when that soundbite came out. Here's the crazier part. He's been reelected 7 times since he said something that dumb. So you can say Hank Johnson's dumb. I'll even give you the grace to say Hank Johnson voters are dumb. Because even if you're on Team Blue, and if you lived in his district, wouldn't you raise your hand and be like, hey, can we put someone else in the primary that knows how islands work? Can we, I don't know, did he think it was just a big inner tube out there? And he think it was just like floating on a big air bubble? Okay, those people were dumb. But when we overuse it, it loses its meaning. Jasmine Crockett's not dumb. AOC's not dumb. Trump's not dumb. Hank Johnson, dumb. Does that clear it up? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, is there really a rabid, disease-ridden monkey on the loose? Or are we living in the 1990s movie Outbreak? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Are we in the Matrix? Seriously. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Haha, the guy on the radio saying something really extreme just to get a laugh. No. I want you to seriously contemplate it. What is more likely? That there is an absolute perfect recreation of the first 20 minutes of the movie Outbreak, the one with the great Kevin Spacey. All right, it's a Cuban Gooding Jr. movie. Is that better? Is that less controversial? No, but in the movie Outbreak. Now, I haven't seen this since like 1995 or whenever it came out. But if you're not familiar with it, maybe you probably remember the box and Blockbuster Video. You remember how like you didn't see most movies, but you saw the box for every movie, right? Blockbuster or Hastings or whatever chintzy little video store you ended up in. But in the movie Outbreak, it was the one that had the rhesus monkey on the front. And some diseased monkey with the most deadly virus combo ever managed to break out of a research facility, and they were trying to find a cure for the deadly virus while catching this. All right, let me look it up. Okay, a capuchin monkey. All right. And if you think, well, James, why do you have to do corrections like this? Because I'll get 28 emails if I don't. Okay. There's people out there who don't email me unless I say the slightest thing wrong, and then I get 28 of them. But in this movie Outbreak, there's a disease and a monkey that they're trying to catch, and the monkey's the carrier of the disease. Now, here we go. It's now 2025. This movie did come out in 1995. I remembered correctly. Thank you very much, Capuchin people. But we go over to Mississippi, of all places, and now we have a diseased, virus-ridden monkey on the loose.
Right now, authorities in Mississippi are looking for a monkey on the loose after this truck crashed yesterday, and there he goes. Sheriff's deputies say the truck was transporting 21 research monkeys from Tulane University when it overturned. Authorities urge people not to approach the monkey, claiming it's infected with several viruses. This is not a movie, folks.
No, it kind of is a movie. It's a movie called Outbreak. We already saw it. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman. So in the movie, they're now trying to catch this monkey, and they have to like quarantine off a whole town, and it's like the most dangerous thing ever. But Outbreak is something that came up in our consciousness again 5 years ago, because in the middle of the COVID outbreak was sort of a lot of our frame of reference. As shallow and fake and Hollywood as it may be, we remember the suits from Outbreak. We remember that if you wanted to keep yourself safe from an airborne virus, you had to be dressed up like you were about to go on a spacewalk. You had to be fully covered with the gloves and the sleeves and the breathing apparatus and the shielded face, and it was a whole thing. And it was something that kept getting brought up when people were like, well, you got to wear a mask. If you're going to go outside, you need to wear a mask. Judge Clay Jenkins says you can't work in an office unless you're wearing a mask. Excuse me, masks don't stop airborne viruses. We saw the movie Outbreak. Thank you very much. And we know what they go through to keep themselves safe from airborne viruses. And a piece of fabric with Spider-Man on it and two little rubber bands on either side hooked around your ears isn't it. Jokes aside, though, stories like this make me feel like that you and I and Garrett and Sean, we're all sitting in some pot of goo, some sort of pink translucent goo, with all kinds of cords plugged into us and a giant socket in the back of our neck. And we're living in a simulation. And the writers for America season 249 are just getting lazy. Really? So you mean to tell me the guy running for president, someone shot at him and they just hit his ear because he turned his head at the perfect angle at the last second? That's barely believable. You mean to tell me that when he was running the first time, I got to tell you, the first time I really thought we were living in a simulation was the whole Anthony Weiner laptop scandal, the whole Anthony Weiner sending inappropriate pictures to underage girls scandal. because his wife worked for the lady that was the front runner for president of the United States. She was ahead in the polls. She was leading when all this went down. And her chief of staff, Hama, was married to this guy named Weiner. And so you mean to tell me her married name, just by conventional modern naming standards, her name's Hama Weiner, and her husband is caught up in a sexting scandal? It's not believable. It's too funny. It's too much of a coincidence. And so when you see things that are very clearly a movie, and then you turn around and you find out that exactly 30 years later, not 31 years, not 29 years, 30 years later, this movie's happening right in front of your face. You know, this movie had a resurgence in popularity. It wasn't just us making obscure pop culture references when it comes to virology. The movie Outbreak ranks as the 4th most streamed film in the United States in 2020. We all went back, or a lot of people went back and watched that. This is a movie from 1995. So yeah, I mean, I hope they catch the monkey, because this monkey has all kinds of crazy diseases. I think it has like a hepatitis. It has COVID. It has herpes. I think it even has gonorrhea, which isn't technically gonorrhea. Isn't that a bacteria? Hey, Garrett, you know all about venereal diseases, right? Gonorrhea, is that a virus or a bacteria? No, you don't. You know, I figured you would know. And that's Garrett too, by the way, not original Garrett, who's so wholesome he's suspicious. But yeah, that's my sign. This is today's sign that we're living in a construct. We're living in a simulation. And if you can hear me up there, overlords, writers who are programming the simulation, you're getting real lazy with your writing. Hey, in what season of America? Hey, in America season 250, can we balance the budget? Overlords, computer AI that's taking over the human race. Can you write in a balanced budget for our simulation next year? That would make me happy. Thank you very much. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we have John Oliver and Jon Stewart both cheering for socialism, cheering for Mamdani, cheering for socialized medicine. And what a dangerous, crazy thing to use your platform to support. You'll hear the audio next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It's your chance to win part of 5K a day on WBAP. Your chance at $1,000 right now. Pay off some bills. Just text PLENTY to 95819. That's PLENTY to 95819, and you could score $1,000. Sponsored local by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. Good luck. Well, it's a real problem that people are cheering socialism. This is the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that because, my team is good and your team is bad. No, I say that because the people promising socialism, people saying the same thing socialists are saying now in America, in the 20th century, they murdered about 100 million of their own people. So, it's a little bit more than just a slight little disagreement on the worldview. It's kind of the most murderous, deadly ideology ever discovered in human history. And we're just throwing it around like, yeah, let's try that. No. This is democratic socialism. It's totally different. So you get to vote in the tyrannical authorities that are going to destroy your economy and murder millions of your own civilians underfoot. Yeah, this is way better. This is totally different. Not the same thing at all. Oh my God. This should be real concern. The people who say things like this should be run off of the set just as if they had a swastika on their arm. Why do we think the swastika is so bad? Because an ideology, it wasn't promising to kill a bunch of people or to hate a bunch of people or to be destructive. It was promising what? Economic growth, fairness, equality, universal health care, universal child care, women in the workforce, not this old fuddy-duddy family tradition, women staying at home and being in the kitchen stuff. No, your parents are old and disgusting and wrong. This is progress. We're going to have high taxes on rich people. Sound familiar? Everyone's going to get an education. We'll wipe religion out of the public schools. Does that sound familiar? So that's exactly what a group of people did back in the 30s in Germany and in Austria. And it's being cheered on. In fact, the guy that's 10 points ahead right now for the mayoral election in New York City, just an open and avowed socialist. And here's Jon Stewart, had him on a show yesterday, cheering him on.
I wish you all the best. Honestly, I think any New Yorker who looks at someone getting an opportunity, who's representing communities that have not been as represented, a Muslim, a young person, a progressive, a democratic socialist, there are so many different communities that are looking to you, and this, I hate to put it on you, as a bit of a Jackie Robinson moment. And I know that probably wields some weight, but man, oh man, what an exciting opportunity.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you the best.
That is so... Yeah, we got it, audience. You don't know what you're talking about. That is so racist. Do you understand the racism in that? Because, when Hitler tries socialism, we all agree it's bad. When Stalin tried socialism, we all agree it's bad. When East Germany tried socialism, we all agree it's bad. But wait a second. We have a Muslim this time, so this is going to be totally different, y'all. This is real diversity. He's young, he's Muslim, he's a progressive, he's a Democrat socialist. Yeah, it's the same terrible ideas that has failed everywhere they're tried. It doesn't matter the color of the skin that's trying it. It's still a terrible idea. And I notice you're campaigning not based on the content of his character, not based on his policy platforms or how he would even govern. You're cheering him on based on what? Innate traits that he can't even change? Oh, look, he's a foreign-born Muslim brown-skinned fella. At least he's not white, though. Isn't that important? Good Lord. There's no real diversity here. Like the current mayor, Eric Adams, I don't even know what that dude is. He doesn't seem to be much of a policy wonk. But the guy before him, Bill de Blasio, Democrat socialist. Like a literal avowed Democrat socialist. Used to be a Marxist, but moderated in his old age. I don't know, sometime between becoming a billionaire and taking a helicopter to the gym every day so he can work out in a different building, he became less of a communist and more of just a Democrat socialist. There is no diversity. There is nothing new here. This is Seinfeld. And over here on HBO, we go from Comedy Central to HBO. You have John Oliver on his show, who used to be on the show with Jon Stewart, talking about socialized medicine. Like, hey, isn't this a great idea? I mean, they have terrible wait times and results in Canada and UK, but it's socialized medicine, so it must be better. I'm sorry, single payer. Don't you love this lie, this Orwellian turn of phrase? If the single payer is the government, it's socialized medicine.
So what can we do here? Well, as I've said before, so many of these problems would go away if we had single-payer healthcare, and we could get closer to that by making regular Medicare more expansive and easier to navigate, and getting rid of that 20% gap in coverage.
So when you add up all of Mamdani's policies, he talks about universal daycare. He talks about getting women in the workforce and public transportation and equality and food stamps and welfare and taxing the rich. And I'm not making this stuff up because you hear it too. On top of that, socialized medicine. Can we go revisit our favorite Austrian immigrant who 20 years ago did an interview warning us of the policy changes that came when the Nazis, the National Socialists, the literal fascists took over in Austria?
Next thing, what happened, he nationalized our healthcare system.
She means Hitler, you understand?
Next thing, what happened, he nationalized our healthcare system. We had a reasonable good healthcare system, which was financed by private insurance. We had good hospitals, we had good doctors, and everybody was reasonable well being cared for. This all changed very fast.
Before Obamacare was passed, 83% of Americans surveyed were happy with their healthcare situation. The government just keeps taking more and more of it over. But listen to the other social programs she mentioned from the H guy, good old Hitler.
To equalize the wealth, those who were on the lower income level, to graduate them up there to an equal level, they got subsidized housing, they got food stamps, they got heating fuel, and they got a certain amount of payment from the government for each child.
Welfare.
So they equalized the country's wealth by taxing us 70% to bring that level, the lower income level, into an equal level. And that is called socialism.
Oh my goodness. You mean the gun control loving people? Also a little bit anti-Semitic. They love all these social programs. Oh, that's so weird. And what do when they get upset? Oh, they go throw bricks through the front windows of the businesses of the people that they politically disagree with? Yeah, I can't relate to that at all. We haven't seen that in America. Yet you're called the fascist. Trump is called the fascist. It's amazing. 800-288-9227. Coming up, one of my dreams may be coming true. Plano is going to have a meeting talking about kicking out DART. Details next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Dart might get kicked out of Plano. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Oh, my wildest dreams are starting to come true. This is proof that God answers prayers because I've been on my knees at night. Thank you, God. And I've looked up at and said, sweet baby Jesus, I don't ask for much. I don't want fame. I don't want fortune. I just want a healthy family, happy kids, and I want Dart to die. That's all I've asked for. And I've been looking for signs. You know, I've been looking at the end of rainbows. I've been looking in the bottom of wishing wells. I've been staring at the crucifix behind the pulpit at church, saying my little anti-Dart prayer. And sometimes prayers do get answered. Sometimes the big guy's listening. And not the big guy, Joe Biden, who's taking 10% off of all the bribes that his son's getting. But no, I mean God himself. I'm probably going to talk more about this on tomorrow's show because I just heard about this right before the James Show started. This was published. I mean, seriously, this was published at like 1 o'clock this afternoon. But it goes from the Dallas Morning News. In an article by Lily Kirsch, her headline says, Dart's future in Plano in question as city council considers vote to withdraw. Oh, really? Do tell. The Plano City Council is going to hold a special session this coming Wednesday, not today, but next Wednesday, November 5th at 5 p.m. to consider holding an election. So the Plano City Council is going to decide Wednesday whether or not they want to put it to the voters of Plano in the next year, I guess in the midterm elections. The people of Plano are going to rise up, let their voices be heard, and they have a chance to kick Dart out of their city. And it's so beautiful. It's just, I've dreamed about it happening. I've wanted it to happen. I pray for it to happen. I've been cussing Dart ever since they gave me the James Show on WBAP. I was cussing Dart before that on other stations here in Dallas. And I never thought it would feel this good. Just to have the chance. Like it hadn't even been cut yet. Just the idea that they're going to have a meeting about putting up a vote and letting the voters decide whether or not it's going to be cut. I am absolutely ecstatic. And yes, I do also enjoy the terrible irony that they just opened the new Silver Line for Dart. Did you hear about this in the news? Oh, in the news, they were just loving it. Oh, isn't this great? Check this out. We have a new Silver Line that's opening up. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to love it. No, they're not. So they had a Silver Line opening party last weekend. Check this out. This was the report from WFAA on Friday.
They are setting up for a weekend of parties at every stop along Dart's new Silver Line, a 26-mile regional rail service that spans Plano to DFW Airport. 10 stops, 7 cities, 3 counties. They predict you can get from this Shiloh Road station out east to the airport in under an hour. DART CEO Nadine Lee tells us this is more than a celebration of new transit options. They are a celebration of regional collaboration, economic growth, and the bright future of North Texas transportation.
Bright
I
future.
want you to know.
Bright future, y'all. He said bright future. Bright future. They didn't know that 4 days after they run this report, a meeting is going to be announced where they talk about ripping these tracks up. Oh, I just love it. Hank, keep going. Tell me what an awesome success this is.
What about this setup is each one of these trains has 2 cab cars, 2 coach cars, and the engine module is right down the middle. Each of these vehicles seats 220 people and 485 people total for those sitting and standing. And they'll run daily between 4 a.m. to 1 a.m., arriving in 30-minute intervals during peak hours and hourly during the other times. They are set up for what DART says is an exciting day. A day long talked about, long planned for, and what could be a victory for mobility across DFW.
Yeah, it could be a victory for mobility, or we could vote to rip all this crap up within a calendar year. This is just amazing. I am so ecstatic about this because DART has just been a bane on your existence, and you don't even know. Did you know that billions of dollars have been taken out of the back pockets of you and your neighbors since 1983, and it's never lived up to any of the promises, not the promises on the ridership that's going to happen, or the fixing of the traffic, or the cost of it, or the fact that they were supposed to never take on debt, and now you're paying on $2 billion worth of debt that DART has taken out in your name. With all the rapes and the stabbings and the shootings and sexual assaults, I don't know, man, I just remember getting on DART, and every once in a while you'd sit down and you'd be like, oh no, this seat is wet. Oh no, that's not Dr. Pepper either. It's been a huge embarrassing failure. We tried it. It stinks. It should have been given up on a long time ago. And at very least, can we learn our lesson and stop expanding this garbage? The Silver Line's going to be a huge embarrassing failure. The line from North Fort Worth to Norman, huge embarrassing failure. The idea that we need one from Dallas to Houston, a huge embarrassing failure waiting to happen. And I just hope to God, if anyone up in Plano or the Plano City Council is listening, or anyone has access to these people, put it on the ballot. Let the people of Plano speak, and let the beginning of the end of this long, dark nightmare happen. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show today. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. In the meantime, if you need more James Show action, there's an excellent podcast of the James Show. And when I take this show and I edit it down, and I take out the commercial and the traffic and the weather and the sports and the news, it really distills down to about a 30-minute segment per hour. So you can check out this show in about half the time. Check out the parts you missed on the podcast, especially the Ozempic segments from earlier today. All right, that's going to do it. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.